I actually wanted to do a video here regarding, I don't know if this was a recent video of yours or not, but it's actually in regards to, I guess, a beef. I don't know. I hate to use a beef because beef has such a negative connotation. But actually, your brief discussion about your take and your actual obsession, or I should say, your observation of one of YouTube's favorites, Avenue Rants, aka Dan Freeman. Um, Again, I wouldn't say that I'm an actually religious watcher of your videos. I mean, a lot of stuff that you say, I mean, it's like all over the place for the most part, at least in my opinion. And a lot of the things, sometimes you get on, get on some stuff about, some real issues and things, and you make it really make real good sense. And pretty much, and for the most part, I just recently really started watching a lot of your videos because, again, some of the things that you say, for the most part, when you're not acting goofy or whatever the case may be, it really tends to take on and actually delivers a serious message. But I really wasn't actually inspired to do a video, at least not this, I wanted to listen to a lot more of your videos that you have published, but I ran across this video just by, just looking at previous stuff of yours, and then for somehow this one came up also. So I figured that I actually, watched that video that you actually labeled "I've Angered the Lames." And for the most part, my observation on that video, pretty much everything that you say on that video, for the most part, I give it a thumbs up personally, because again, it's just the fact that a lot of things that you actually said about Mr. Dan Freeman, for the most part, I'm not going to sit there and say hoorah, hoorah, you're all on point or whatever, but I'll just say with a solemn, a solemn tone that for the most part, I don't have any disagreements with that. Again, I'm not here to co-sign on anything that you say. I'm not here to be a cheerleader or whatever the case may be. But again, I have no problem actually letting you know, or actually letting the folks in YouTube know when I actually agree with something that someone said. My main issue is the fact that, and I've always pushed the issue about education, especially in the black community, as actually being very important. Now, I understand your observation on where you're coming from as far as, the entitlement factor and the degree. See, one thing about it is that we have to understand is that, and I guess let me back up for a minute, and I just want to kind of clarify and clear you up on a couple of things too, because again, even though that was a good video of yours, there was some things again that I think that you said that kind of got me to questioning, and I actually wanted to sit down and really think and pause and really ponder on how I was going to actually come back and actually respond to it. But for the most part, you were saying that, and I'm just skipping around, this is not in any particular order, but you were saying something about folks with degrees, for the most part, have, I guess, entitlement issues. Now, again, and for the most part, I like how you actually said, for the fact that, and you broke down pretty much what it means to actually be educated, what it means to have a degree and everything else. And I agree totally with everything that you said in that video. I mean, I have nothing, but thumbs up, smiles all across. But we have to understand something here, is that even though, a degree is, something that is very sought for, we have to understand something, for the most part. A degree is nothing more than a piece of paper. I have 2 degrees, and I really still, for the most part, don't consider myself as actually being at the top of my earning potential for the most part. I mean, I'm not doing bad by no means, believe that, but again, I don't think that I'm actually entitled to anything either. And see, one thing about it is that with your assessment of Mr. Dan Freeman, I mean, for the most part, I have to say again that a lot of stuff that that you were actually confronting him with, as far as his attitude and how he thinks he should be entitled to things just because he has a degree, I would have to say for the most part was on point. But again, it's just the fact that for the most part, everybody who has a degree is not on some entitlement type of issue, because again, everybody does not take the degree and actually let it rule them. They actually rule and manage the degree. For the most part, again, I look at it again is that education is just one of those things. A degree cannot tell you how smart I am. And see, one thing about it is that I think us in the black community is actually continuing to struggle with that particular issue. Because again, for the most part, when a black person reaches a level of achievement, even if it's just graduating from college, for the most part, since that's something that is kind of almost unheard of in the black community, when a black person did get a college degree, it tends to go to our heads for the most part. Not everybody, but for some folks it does. And for the most part, when they get this degree or whatever the case may be, they get a good job. God opens the door, they get a good job, and they start making the money, and the pockets get full. And next thing you know, they become a totally, completely different person as opposed to the person that they were before they got the degree. And of course, with going along with that, again, you do run into entitlement issues for some people. Because again, with me, I can say for the most part, I don't feel that I'm entitled to anything. I have 2 degrees. I thank God that I have them. And again, it took a lot of discipline and a lot of sacrifices for me to just, get in the realm of actually wanting to learn and get this degree. Because again, I'm not looking for anybody to promote me. I'll promote myself. But the thing about it again is that when I got the degree, for the most part, I still had to keep it in its context. It's just a degree. It does not define who I am as a person. And see, one thing about it is that, again, when you have somebody that really is, and for the most part, living in what I would call la-la land, they figure that a piece of paper or something is supposed to somehow magically make their lives better. And I'm learning here every day, and for the most part, when I'm actually, getting into that frame of thinking, okay, a degree can get me this, that, and the other, I'm quickly reminded that, hey, it's going to still take hard work. See, a lot of people look at a degree, especially in the black community, as a lifesaver. It looks at them as a way of them pulling females. They look at it as a way of actually being able to be a part of something that they know they would not normally be a part of. And see, I think that's pretty much where the concept I'm hoping that you came from when you actually addressed Dan Freeman in that video. Again, I think with this particular issue here, again, education is a good thing. I mean, and for those who are able to get it, you know what? Go ahead and get it. And even for those, I'm not going to take and look down on somebody just because they cannot get it. Because again, everybody is not able to get it. But the thing about it, again, for those who are able to get it, we have to make sure and understand that we put it in its proper place, in its proper perspective, and know, okay, look, this is just a degree. It does not change who I am as a person. I'm still the same person. Now, again, as far as, I've addressed Dan Freeman on a lot of videos in the past that I've done, with his assessment of black women, and how he views black women and all this other type of stuff. I mean, I've done a couple of videos. I didn't do too much, but I've done a couple. And for the most part, it's so funny that, and I knew that I was actually onto something, because there would be people that actually would comment, very few and far between, but there would be people that would actually comment on his videos. And even sometimes, they would even comment on other folks' videos about how he feels that, or how they assess him as actually being on entitlement issues. And see, one thing about it, that, again, I'm not entitled to anything. I wasn't born with a spoon in my mouth. I'm pretty sure he wasn't either. But the thing about it, again, is that just because you struggle and nobody actually wanted to give you any play, and now that you got a degree, people want to give you play. I mean, look, people are people. You have gold diggers. That's just the way that it is. And you have people that are really dishonest and really very superficial. You got people that don't even want to talk to you if they feel that if you don't have certain things in life, if you haven't actually reached a certain level of achievement. And see, for those type of people, I try to distance myself away from them, because one thing about it is that they're destructive to my development. And I say that because, again, when you're always looking for self-worth based on what other folks think of you and how much they want you, first of all, you have to look to see that there's insecurity within yourself. And see, a thing about it is that with my assessment of him, is pretty much, I really, and I could be wrong, but this is just my personal opinion, I think that there is an insecurity somewhere. We're all insecure in some way, shape, or form, don't get me wrong. But again, some people show their insecurity more, where it's more apparent than other folks. Some folks can cover it up and just go on, and nobody will ever know that they're insecure about something unless they open their mouth and tell them. But when you're actually sitting up there on, and you've gotten somewhere, or you got reached a certain level of attainment in life, and now you're going back to these same people who turned you down before, or who may be approaching you wanting some stuff from you, or whatever the case may be, you get angry for the fact that, okay, now I got my stuff, now you want me. And it's like, okay, look, it doesn't matter. You have to have love for yourself. Because again, a degree, just because you got a degree, that doesn't mean that when you got that degree came with instructions on how to love yourself. Because you're supposed to have all of that stuff together before you even go out and achieve whatever it is you want to achieve in life. But again, so often the black community, the black men, we miss that concept. And next thing you know, we're getting upset, we're getting mad, and we're getting angry over dumb stuff. And then what do? Until we don't handle it like men, we actually go and voice it and pretty much put on a rant and rave on YouTube to let other folks know how we feel about ourselves, what we feel about other folks, and pretty much the fact that we are not happy with ourselves. Again, I have nothing against Mr. Dan Freeman. I mean, he does great videos. I mean, and like I said, he can get down and dirty too and talk about issues. I mean, he's a little over the top in some cases, but again, for the most part, he owns his. And that's all I can say. He owns his stuff. But the fact about it, again, is that we all have flaws and everything that we have to actually get over, when we're trying to, be complete and be pure, or whatever the case you want to call it. But when you're actually sitting up here on entitlements things and thinking that you're supposed to get something based on what you've gotten now, I'm here to tell you that, first of all, life does not even go that way. And for him to actually sit there and really think, even though he may not have said it, but again, I'm not stupid. I can read between the lines. That's pretty much what a lot of his problems is that, again, it's the entitlement factor. And see, one thing about it is that I don't have no hang-ups about talking about this because, again, I know I'm not perfect. I have some hang-ups about myself. I have some things that I felt that I was entitled to because, of what I got in my degree. But the thing about it is that I know how to keep that stuff off camera. I don't come in here and broadcast my life on YouTube because my life is not the subject of anybody's business. It's my own. And see, that's, again, another issue that I have with brothers who come on here and wanting to get, I guess, sympathy. It's like, I don't understand. We as a black community try to, I guess, live through a computer screen. And see, one thing about it is that when they put their business out here and put their errors out here and then people assess it and actually give their personal opinions, then they're ready to get angry and everything like this and really want to throw rants and everything. You learn to keep your business off the computer screen. Handle your business like a man off camera. Nobody don't have to know about what you're doing and what you think you're entitled to off camera. That's you. But you cannot sit there and actually, again, blame other folks because, again, what other folks are getting and what you're not getting, even though you think you're entitled to it just because of what you got. Again, life does not owe you anything. Life doesn't owe me anything. The same way I have to get out there and bust my behind to get to where I want to get in life, the same way he's going to have to do it too, the same way that you have to do it. Like I say, life, it doesn't sit there and actually pat you on the back. As if to say, okay, come on, you can do better and everything like that. You got to find motivation within yourself and push yourself in order to get to where you want. Because, again, nobody's going to give you anything. And see, getting back on the subject there, you ranting and raving, or not you personally, but Dan Freeman ranting and raving about, what females did. And see, one thing about it is that, and I did not really know him that much when I actually started listening to his videos. But see, one thing about it is that you can tell the condition of a person based on their ramblings and everything, on how they continue to harp on the same subject matter time after time after time. I've ran across some people that really stick to one subject, but every now and then they'll at least go and talk about something else, at least, just to kind of have a sense of variety. And that's to me is the best way to actually do videos. Don't always stick on the same subject matter. Go and talk about something else because there are so many other things that you can talk about. But it's just the fact that when you constantly stick on one subject, that lets me know, first of all, number one, you have a vested interest in the subject, even though you say you can't stand the subject. And see, I hate when people and brothers get up here talking about they don't like black women and this, that, and the other because of this, that, and the other. Look, we've already, YouTube, black community, everybody, all over, even people that are non-black have addressed the issues about, the attitudes and everything about black women. And see, one thing about it, again, is that instead of us actually trying to get together and trying to see how to figure this thing out and try to, work together to try to come to some kind of common solution, we sit up there co-signing with this other stuff what other races are talking about. Yeah, black women know what they're doing wrong and this, that, and the other. And I mean, like I say, but one thing about it, again, is that when you sit there and keep talking about your own and doing it in such a derogatory manner, you are teaching other people to disrespect your own as well. And see, it surprises me that a lot of people have not even grasped that concept. Those brothers, those educated brothers, this is what gets me. Again, and I've addressed many times in other videos as well, that maybe when we get our act together, maybe the sisters will get a fall back and really get in line and say, okay, you know what? I need to cut out this hood rat behavior and come on and get on some serious stuff and start to be the queen that I am. But again, they're not going to do that when they always have brothers up there talking and talking negative against them and everything. I don't have nothing wrong with, again, calling a woman out on her behavior if that's what she's doing. If she's doing something suspect, guess what? I feel that it's my duty to say something because, again, it's already bad enough that society looks at us as a joke. So why in the world would you keep actually letting somebody keep making a fool of themselves? I got to sit up there and show you some love and bring the truth to you. That's the way I see it. But I'm not going to sit up there and perpetuate the stereotypes and everything that already exists on how society views black women by continuing to get up here and open up a camera and continue to throw out this poison and everything that is not really helping nobody. And it surprises me that you still have a lot of people that are still ranting and raving. I mean, I understand that there's nothing new under the sun. History repeats itself and everything. But my goodness, in my opinion, like I said, as far as Dan Freeman, and like I say, and I'm not trying to talk about the brother but again, I was just responding to your video on your assessment of him. But he's the type of person, he has a lot of anger issues. A lot of anger issues. And see, I'm not no psychologist or anything like that, but anybody who actually corresponds with him, they can see that. Sad to say, you have a lot of them that are afraid to actually go against him and actually tell them, okay, look, this is what I think the situation is, because I don't know, they must be afraid that he's going to voice them out or whatever the case may be, or rat them out, or actually try to make them feel down low. Because I remember he referred to me one time in one of his videos as actually being a know-it-all. And I was so glad that he actually said that, because one thing about it, that gave me a chance to come clean and clear who I am and why I post and why I said what I said about him. Again, you know, I use YouTube just like everybody else used to YouTube to voice their philosophies and opinions about different things and topics of interest. But it's just the fact that when you keep talking about the same thing over and over, and you don't have anything productive to say or whatever the case may be. But you know, it's a sad life, in my opinion, when you feel that when you actually hold on to the hurt and the pain from what somebody else may have done to you. I mean, I know it's easier said or done than other folks. I mean, again, and you know, some people go through things in life and, you know, in their childhood or what have you, and it leaves a lasting scar that they carry well into their adulthood. And see, again, I'm not no psychologist, but you can tell by when people are constantly ranting and raving about women and what they're doing and how nasty they are, they've been hurt by one, two, maybe even three, I don't know. And they feel that in order for them to get back at women, they have to go in and post these ridiculous videos talking about, you know, how much of a hood rat a black woman is. And again, to me, you don't get understanding by sitting up there and bringing stupidity and ignorance into the picture, because all that's going to do is further validate who you are, what you really are all about, and pretty much reveal who you are to your YouTube community. Again, you can sit there and say, okay, no, I'm not this way, no, I'm not that way. But again, the more you talk, the more you ramble, the more people are going to find you out. That's why, you know, with me, it's like, okay, yeah, I addressed them on a couple of issues and everything. And it's funny because every time I would actually post a video or whatever, you know, I would never really get a response back. But I don't say anything, you know, to be mean or anything like that. I mean, I really want to be in the know. I've never disrespected him. I've never, you know, and I don't believe in all that foul language because, again, you know, there are better ways to get your point across without actually having to stoop low and be the arrogant fool that, you know, society already thinks that we are. You know, see, and I just don't get this whole thing. I mean, and it's just the whole thing with this fame. I don't understand. I really don't get it. You know, you will have people that will sit there and really sell themselves just for the sake of actually having people to view their videos. See, these days, again, it's important about, you know, it's okay to post your thoughts about how you feel about something. But see, it's another thing in how you deliver the message. And see, again, we as black people, we really have not really mastered, again, the art of proper communication. Because the moment that we feel that, you know, we got to get something out of our chest, the first thing we do, we want to get all ignorant. We want to sit there and quote unquote tell it like it is and this, that, and the other. And next thing you know, here we go. We're going with the war of words. And that's the only way that we know how to get our points across is through, you know, the war of words. I mean, but I just wanted to kind of just, you know, put my 2 cents in there as far as my observation of your video on your assessment of Dan Freeman. Because for the most part, again, everything that you said for the most part, I have to agree and I have to co-sign and say, you know what, you were right on point. I don't never usually post anything or comments to your videos. I just kind of sometimes listen to your ones that I really feel that are really about something. Again, everybody has their own way on how they deliver wisdom. So, again, what I do is I listen to the wisdom. I don't listen to the message or the person that it's coming from. I'm listening to the words and what I can get out of it to help better me as a person. Because again, wisdom can come from all shapes and sizes, all types of people. You just have to be on the lookout to know what applies to you and what doesn't. And again, getting up here and stating that you think that you're entitled to certain things just because you have a degree. Well, my goodness, I should be entitled to some things too, because again, I I have 2 degrees. And I still find myself struggling, trying to be accepted and all this other type of stuff. But see, when you get older, the light bulb is supposed to go off. And see, again, I'm not as actually all about trying to get accepted, because again, people are just people. They are finicky. They are just like the weather. They change. One moment they're with you, the next minute they are against you. So to me, it's like, why in the world would I sit there and really wonder about who is with me and who's not? Again, you have people that say things here on YouTube just for shock value, just to get a rise, just to get people to watch and view their channel. I'm not like that. I mean, again, I enjoy posting videos and I like to deliver different messages and everything like that. But why in the world would I want to sit there and just keep saying things for shock value? Eventually, I'm going to run out of material. And next thing you know, I'm going to just be, sitting up there waiting for the next YouTube beef to get in, and then try to keep that up. But see, one thing about it, it's so funny. And see, and again, this is just such a beautiful topic, I guess. But I'm not trying to go back and rehash anything that actually was done in the past between the beefs that the black men had against, it's like the beefs that occur here on YouTube between black men. But it's funny how these people like Dan Freeman, and again, nothing against the fella, he has his own channel, he does his thing, God bless him. But it's funny to mention, it's funny to say that when he actually come across someone who he, I guess, feel that he cannot actually quote unquote insult, he quickly backs away. See, one thing, and I say that to say this, there was a YouTube beef, I guess, not too long ago, where it was some information that was passed, that was dropped. There was some documents or something that was dropped regarding, I'm pretty sure you know the fellow, Mr. Tommy Sotomayor, where it was some girl, where they actually assumed that it was some lady, Jeannie Burlesque or whatever her name, Crispy Blue or something like that, where they threatened to drop some documents on, where his mother and his daughter live, that sort of thing, or what have you the case may be. Now, see, Dan Freeman actually went up and actually said, if Tommy Sotomayor was making it up, that was a real bad move on his part, and he pretty much will lose respect for him, all this other type of stuff, I don't know, but just generally paraphrasing the whole situation. Now, again, Dan Freeman, he went to his aid, to Tommy Sotomayor's aid, which was good, because again, you stand up for each other, you help your brother out. But see, the thing about it, and I actually had to sit back and think, because I did not think that a black man would actually react to someone coming to their aid that way. But this fella turned around and, in my opinion, ripped his behind off Dan Freeman's and handed it back to him and told him pretty much that he did not like the perception that he was making the whole thing up. I mean, who in the world would actually sit there and make something up like that, stating, that somebody is dropping documents on personal information on where his daughter and his children, his child live or whatever, because people are crazy these days. They can come and harm the children. But the response that Dan Freeman got back from Tommy Sotomayor, he was not expecting it. And when I looked at his video response, I think it was called "You're On One" or something like that, and I listened to the entire video and actually saw how he actually addressed and responded to Tommy Sotomayor. For the most part, I can tell, even though, he used words or whatever the case may be, and all this other way on how he delivers his message, I can tell that he felt that he was actually being defeated. I, again, don't have anything to do with that. I'm just only making my observation, and I'm just only, again, that's just my personal view. You can view it however you want. A lot of people may view it differently. I can have the right to view things how I want to view them. But it's just the fact that, I can feel actually, and actually just see and just hear the tone and how, and the inflection in his voice and how he responded back to Tommy. And for the most part, he saw that he could not overtake Tommy, and he just left it alone. He did not say anything else anymore about Tommy, and the whole thing was squashed. And I said, you know what? That is very unique. I say it's so funny because again, you know, when you and I mentioned something like that again in previous videos that I've done with him. It's the fact that when you go when he goes toe to toe with someone, and he sees that they're not going to back down and they can roll with him just like anything else, he mellows out. Again, and I say that to say this, it's okay to come to someone's aid, but when you actually sit there and see that they are not going to accept your help the way you think they would, first of all, it's a shock. I mean, again, and it was like a total slap in his face. But it's just the fact that, and my heart kind of went out. I kind of felt bad. I mean, even though I wasn't personally involved in it, I felt kind of bad because, again, I felt honestly that he did not deserve the response that he got. But again, that's what you get when you're jumping into something and you don't really know the total story of what's going on. Because again, there's a lot of name pointing and finger pointing at different people about who did what and the other. And next thing you know, you're going on YouTube ratting people out. And next thing you know, you find out, okay, it's not who you think it is. And see, next thing you know, you're left with eggs on your face and you have to go back and apologize, which he did. I have mad respect for him when he do that because again, that it takes a real big man to get up there in front of the YouTube community and say you're sorry for, misinterpreting or, stating something that wasn't completely true. But just to kind of wrap this video up, for the most part, your assessment on Mr. Dan Freeman, like I say, I have nothing against Dan Freeman. I'll be quick to say that. I mean, me and him, I don't really have much words for him because again, he does his own thing, and he has great videos. But it's just the fact that, again, sometimes it's kind of hard to sit through some of them because he can get a little too much, at times. And I, try to get in there and listen to what I can without actually sitting up there and having to hear all that other stuff. But anyway, he's a good fella. But it's just the fact that, the entitlement issues and all that type of stuff that has to go away. Because, again, nobody owes anybody anything. We all came here in the same way in this world. We came here without nothing, and I guarantee you when we close our eyes and leave this world, we're going to be leaving the same way that we came, with nothing. And and we as black folks have to understand is that even though we reach a level of attainment in life, nobody still doesn't owe us anything. Because again, we have to get out there and bust our butts to show that we are actually capable, even more capable than other folks in certain things. So again, that's just pretty much my ramblings about this video. And like I say, I don't normally respond to a video or anything that you post. I just listen to your videos. But I just felt the need to put in a quick response with this one because I could not let this video go out or go by or pass me by without me putting my 2 cents in. So peace out and have a good day.